Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Mogul MD podcast. I'm here with Brett, my partner, and Brett's wife, Arin Riggins. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
Back stateside. I have two partners in the room now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So Arin is here because we're going to talk a little bit about mindset today. And we was kind of just joking around the idea of we could do a whole show on the life of the wife of an investor.
There you go.
The life of the wife of an investor and entrepreneur and all that stuff. So I think it's just a great way to start, just to introduce like our path a little bit. I am an optimist. I am all in on myself all the time. And I'm just always go. But Arin, on the other hand, is coming from more conservative background and living the life. She was an educator for 16 years before we went full-time into real estate investing. And she's now a licensed real estate agent and
teacher still.
Yeah. So Arin, thank you for being on the show with us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thomas is back stateside now, by the way. We're actually in the same room together.
That's
today.
right.
And we're excited about that. So tell me a little bit about like what comes to mind when you think about mindset. And I remember the conversations that we used to have going from the comforts of a paycheck to absolutely nothing at all. And we were active real estate investors at the time. So it was what I call kill and eat. It was actively going out, flipping houses,
not getting paid until they
yeah.
sold.
So there is the correlation I'm seeing with this is physicians in general. It requires a mindset shift for you to make your money work for you in real estate. And that's really why we're tying into this. So whether we're physicians or not, this path is going to be the same way. This mindset shift is going to be the same way. So we were early on part of a group called Fortune Builders. And just what comes to mind when this journey started, so where does it start? It starts with
the gut check.
Yeah. So it starts with, I just started our own design build construction company. So I had left the paycheck world, the W-2 world, and started this company. And it was only about less than a year into that company when I came to you with an idea. Mm-hmm. So why don't we start from there?
From your idea,
mm-hmm.
or the idea that, hey, we should go to this weekend spiel and see what they say. And then obviously you were very engaged with that presentation. And so bring your wife along. So we did that.
Great sales technique.
And we did that. And that was interesting. Of course, it came at a time in my career where I could not see myself retiring from teaching. So I was already in that mindset shift of, okay, what can I do, to continue to provide for the family, but at the same time, do something that I enjoy. And so we went to this seminar, listened to everything, it was wonderful. And, you can basically get as much out of it as you want. Whereas in the teaching world, you can put as many hours and as much time invested as you want. But the bottom line is you're going to get paid the same as, Susie homemaker over here who, doesn't care about her job and this, that, and the other thing. So, the mindset shift, I guess, was just getting away from that comfort of knowing that you're going to get this consistent paycheck. You're going to have, your health benefits, your retirement, all this stuff, just laid out for you, kind of like how you're grown to believe this is how it's supposed to be. And then basically taking your future in your own hands and kind of, getting what you want out of it. You're going to put more time in, you're going to get more out of it. It was very difficult. And like, even thinking about it, I'm like shaking because I can go back to how I felt when we were like, oh my gosh, this is what we really need to do. We got to get out of the 9-to-5 stuff and kind of make our own future.
I almost get goosebumps remembering that feeling, though, being in those presentations of, and a presentation is going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be everything pretty. They may mention the difficulty pieces of it, but even going back then, that first glimpse into passive income and what that meant. And I went from this feeling of almost like euphoria, like this liberation kind of feeling, and almost tiptoeing into frustration as well too. Like, why wasn't I taught this in school? And through time, I've journeyed past that and thought, I don't know if I was able to handle it. I was focused on different things leading up to this point that's left us in this part of the journey. But one of the big things, I guess, to think about too is the sunshine and rainbows side of it. Everybody listening to this right now, I know you are considering passive income. You're thinking about ways to, make money while you sleep. That's why we invest in real estate. There's lots of benefits, offsetting income, all that kind of stuff. But the sunshine and rainbows piece of it is, it's real, right? It's real. And it's been a major journey for us to get here. And we still have challenges to this point. But the first piece of that mindset shift is accepting the optimism that there is light on the other side of the tunnel. There is this mechanism, these tools to step away from the paycheck, trading time for money world. And I think that for us was the biggest piece, the biggest change. Just say it's there. Mm-hmm. And why wasn't I ever taught this in the beginning, right?
Because you're taught to go to school, get good grades, go to college, and get a good job. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what you're taught. Get a job that has, retirement and health benefits, and, that's what you're taught. And so that's what you do, because you buy into the fallacy that that's the way life is supposed to be. But then reality is like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. There's plenty of successful people that didn't even finish high school, didn't even go to college. So there has to be another way.
There was another decision that we had to make too when you were leaving education, because you had purchased years in retirement, right? Mm-hmm. And this path that we're on now was so much more attractive to us that, that was part of the decision, that we had to walk away from those years that you had purchased.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was tough.
Yeah. So I thank you for that story, to getting us started into the mindset shift. What's the biggest mindset shift for you going from the difference between trading time for money to passive income, or to real estate in general?
I just think of like all the time and energy that I put into like teaching, and then all the stuff that people didn't see, like grading papers and doing report cards and all that stuff behind the scenes that you really don't, it's not even necessarily get appreciation for, but it's like that same amount of energy and effort that you put into doing real estate, you get back tenfold. Right. So you actually do get rewarded. You do a good job, you actually get rewarded for that job. So that was big, especially, like one of the first turns. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a third of my pay on one deal kind of thing. And that was huge. Is that what you meant by that question?
No, that's perfect. I didn't have any boxes for the answer at all, but that's another mindset. So this is a little into active investing versus passive investing. And active investing for us was the actual forced equity into properties, mm-hmm. or wholesaling. I mean, when the first time you see a piece of paper turn from nothing into getting a signature, and all of a sudden you're getting $10,000, $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 for this piece of paper, it forces a mindset shift in you. To where I remember the first time we got a check for an amount that I had worked 2 years, 2 years to get this amount, and we had gotten it in one check, and that check was fruit from one deal, and I remember our first 6-figure flip, and it was like, what?
I remember that.
Goodbye. Yeah. Goodbye world. This is how we're doing it. What do you remember of that flip? Well, I mean, it was during COVID, so mm-hmm. that was a whole nother ball of fun right there. But just the elation of all that hard work, like paying off, and wow, we're really good at this. Mm-hmm. That was just really rewarding, because you put in all that effort and then you actually
get the return of not just the monetary returns, but the feel good reward kind of.
And all physicians know that feeling very well with their education path, because they went through school, very intensive school for a very long time, and then they finally graduate and start earning a high income. So they know what it's like to put in the time and the work and the energy to be able to get to that level where they're now earning a lot more money, and they sowed, so now they're finally reaping. And it's the same concept with real estate investing or any journey that you start.
I was watching or listening to a podcast earlier today, and there was a physician being interviewed by a real estate investor. And this physician was talking about COVID, and I'm sure everybody listening to this as well has their own story about COVID. And this particular physician had to stop completely clinicals for 2 months, right? And so the income dropped, gone, right? And then he also told about another story where he had fallen in a ski accident and injured his hands, so he could not work anymore. So it just makes me think of exactly what you're talking about, Thomas, with going through that schooling. And now what happens? What if? So maybe that forces you into the idea of passive investing before you feel the need to, kind of thing. And for us, it was 100% by choice that we left the comforts of a W-2, that steady income, and just that change. But
it was a big leap. I mean, it was a big leap for sure. But I mean,
for me, the first time leaving the construction company I was with to start my own construction company, that was the big leap of faith for us. And the second time it happened, was
just like to leap.
Yeah. The second time when Arin came away from her W-2, it was easier for me because I was already all in. Like, I had lost connection with the real world in regards of trading time for money. But learning process for us too, because that's where we really learned the reality behind you quit your 9 to 5 to become an entrepreneur and work 24/7. Yeah. You trade your 9 to 5 for 24/7, and that can definitely happen. And through our years of investing passively in real estate, we're working and fine tuning our systems constantly to mitigate, to remove ourselves from the system 100%. So thank you for joining us, Miss Arin, the life of the wife of an investor entrepreneur.
Yes.
Arin's new podcast channel.
Can I be dismissed now?
Yes. The joy of the podcast from the home office. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, Thomas, what did you get out of the mindset shift that Arin was just talking about? I mean, this is kind of like from the W-2 world to basically becoming a full-on investor,
Yeah. One thing I find interesting is that one of the biggest difficulties, at least for me and probably for most people, is the risk that you're taking, the uncertainty, whether that's the financial risk of investing into, say, a seminar, or maybe it's the time risk that you're investing into time or a new deal or something that you've never done before, the uncertainty. So it's something that I think holds a lot of people back because it's something that they're not familiar with, and they're not willing. A lot of people aren't willing to take that risk, even though there is a lot more upside if you put in the time and the energy into that path forward.
Yeah. You're thinking about mindset, and that path forward for me is, was it Robert or Gerber, the E-Myth? That book, I think, was the first one for me that made the transfer in my mind. And in that book, he lays out this triangle, and on the top is an E, and there's 3 levels. On the top is E, in the middle is M, and on the bottom is T. So we've all started off in this path, and the T is the technician. I'm trading time for money. It's what I'm in my world was swinging the hammer. And then as I gained a knowledge and experience, I moved up to the next level as a manager, and I was still trading time for money and managing other people swinging a hammer and me swinging a hammer myself. Mm-hmm. The big shift comes when you move up into that top level is that entrepreneur when we're not trading time for money anymore. So Gerber does a great job of that. And also Mr. Kiyosaki in Cash Flow Quadrant lays out a great way of looking at the differences of mindset when it, that makes sense, right? Yeah. And on the right side of the cash flow quadrant is business owner and investor. And you want to be on the right side, right?
Yeah.
So here again, that mindset to stop trading time for money is aligned in both Gerber and Kiyosaki.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. And Robert Kiyosaki also goes further in one of his books talking about what's called the rat race, which is essentially you're trading, like you said, your time for money. And the only way to escape that is to create another source outside of your job of passive income so that then you can pay your expenses completely from the passive income and you don't have to work. You can still work, which I think a big difference for a lot of the doctors and physicians listening from Arin's story is that a lot of them are probably going to continue working in the profession and just start to create that source of passive income rather than jumping full-time in, because a doctor income is definitely a big difference from a physician income where they're earning a lot more. So they're able to leverage capital a lot quicker than a teacher may be able to.
I thought I heard you say a doctor income is different than a physician income.
What I meant is a doctor's income is different from a teacher's income.
It's like, I don't know, we're talking about mindset, but I cannot wrap my mind around that. Yes, for the teacher's income. Yeah, yes, 100%. Yeah,
that's what I meant.
Yep. And even, Arin has a master's degree, and a lot of teachers do, getting paid very well to do that. But yeah, big difference in pay. Ultimately, it's coming back again. Something that's in the mindset is, what is wealthy to you? And Arin just said to me yesterday that she feels wealthy. And that to me, it means a lot to me because I think we understand what that is now. And another book, The Power of Now, it's going to take me multiple times to get through this book, of just being able to step outside or step away from the unconscious programs that we've conditionally formatted our brain and how we act because of it. Just enjoying what we have and being present in the moment and being able to look around and enjoy that. And the fact now that, okay, the passive income is taking care of expenses and we are happy, we are happy.
Yeah. Yeah. What makes it difficult too is not knowing that it's possible for a lot of people. You're not really most people aren't going to be willing to put in the time and the effort if they don't know what the upside is, or they don't believe in it maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So reading these different books and going out to these different classes or listening to these podcasts is a great way to get started so that you can start gathering information so that you convince yourself that it's going to be worth the time. Yeah. It's going to be worth the effort.
So many stories just popped into my mind, like when you're talking about that, and knowing that there is something else, right? Knowing what you don't know can be the most important thing for you. And when we do a lot of YouTube and all that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to get some of this knowledge and experience out of my head. And the biggest thing that keeps popping back in my brain is, don't be afraid to ask, right? Know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, start with that question, right? I love asking, who do you know that I should know?
Yeah.
Right. I didn't frame that in any way, right? And we have a conversation, so we have context to our conversation. You're going to probably point me in the right direction. The other thing that made me think of too is, we were on the pre-launch of the book we wrote, and I'm, reaching out to people I know and family members, just trying to get a read, a quick edit, that kind of thing. And it just fascinates me how one response, in this book, it's literally called How to Get Rich, right?
As a doctor.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the one response that I got back was, oh, I don't have time to read that. I'm trying to make a living myself. And it's like, what? How does that... it's a mindset thing.
It's the mindset of someone who's going to stay poor. Yeah.
It reminds me, in that book, I think you were talking about in there, Thomas, where talk about seeing with your eyes versus seeing with your mind.
Yeah.
And that was that Maxwell, or was that
There's a
Rohn?
couple. It was actually from both. I believe it was Robert Kiyosaki and as well as Jim Rohn. We're both saying that if you see with your eyes, you'll see things, but if you see with your mind, you'll see opportunities.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part. And another thing I heard that kind of cracks me up too is like, if you want to hide the secrets of life from like 50% of people, put it in a book. Put it in a book. You can hide the secrets of life. You can literally, it fascinates me. Arin likes to pop the tags at the thrift shops. Aaron's still here. Pop the tags at the thrift store. I actually love it too. My kids love going to the thrift store. But what fascinates me is we will find books.
Like this one, never read. $1.
$1, never read. A Year of Growing Rich by Napoleon Hill. At a thrift store, never read. So you can find these books, and it's like, it's a mindset thing. It's like, get through that, get past that.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that book that we just wrote, we dedicated the first chapter to mindset. Even though it's all about real estate investing and building passive income, we believe and we know that mindset is the most crucial part of it. And if you don't have your mindset in place, you won't be able to do anything else.
Yes.
And a couple of the things that we mentioned in that is for you to change your mindset, you have to gather new information. You can't just change your mindset through sheer will. You have to start learning different things, opening your mind and seeing from different perspectives.
So I just made me think too. Just wrote this down yesterday, and where is he at? It's a quote, and no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Albert Einstein. This is in my journal. So, move stuff around here. That, to me, that quote is stuck, and I've seen it. I've seen that quote multiple times, but it made its way into my journal here recently because of this mindset shift of looking at this, seeing with my mind instead of my eyes, and just getting around other people too that have different perspectives and different different mindset shifts and basically different levels of consciousness. And if this is exactly it. Say we were on this level of consciousness that says trading time for money, right? How do I get past that? I can't get past that being on the same level of consciousness. That's the level that derives that problem. The problem was derived from. So I've got to switch and get past that and look and see, okay, where are some opportunities? What do I need to do? So what do I need to do, Thomas, when boom, the lights are on? All right, you say I need a mindset shift. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it varies for everybody, depending where you're coming from. And there was a quote, I don't remember who it was by, but it was something along the lines of, there's no such thing as business problems. There's just personal problems in a business.
I remember the first time you told me that in a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it starts with identifying where you're at and figuring out what are some of the things, whether that's maybe bad habits that you have or thinking habits that you have that are preventing you or slowing you down or maybe hurting you from being able to get to that next level, wherever that may be. And maybe even going a step back from that is actually defining where you want to go, setting a goal of where you want to go. And then once you set that goal, you can start to figure out, okay, what are the things that I have to do and what type of person do I have to become in order to achieve that?
Big one. I like that one. Who do I have to become? When I wrote in my journal this year, looking for 2023 at goals, I did not write a single goal where it was like this amount of money or this particular thing or purchase this thing. It was, who do I want to be in 2023? To me, that was the big, again, a mindset shift of it's who you become while you're reaching for those goals, right? And I think that's Jim Rohn.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just coming back to this other book, The Power of Now, and that's Eckhart Tolle is the author of that one. It's just a great perspective of being able to see what you don't know. And you do that, you often where you'll catch yourself in this program. Your mind's got a program, whether it's, okay, say, as a physician, I need to invest some money. I've got some money, right? I've paid off my student loans. What am I going to do with this money? Well, you've got a program that's already running in your head, that things that other physicians have done, things that the media has told us to do. So there's this program running in your head. In this book of The Power of Now, of being present and being able to catch yourself when you're just running on autopilot.
Yeah.
I was in the, we have 2 small children, and life is a journey. Every single day you're blessed with opening your eyes. And this morning I was sitting there, and I was in my son's room, and I watched my daughter, she's 8, my son is 9, come like in the morning. Holly, yes, the daughter is a morning person, 100%. She comes just like, floating through the house, this young childish joy, this pure happiness. She's like, this girl's literally floating, Mm-hmm. And I stepped back. I was present, 100% present, was conscious. And I just watched her come in, and she's just like floating around. And as soon as she comes in my son's room, my son is on this program of, why are you in here? What are you trying to take from me? And I watched it in his body language first. And then as soon as she like plopped down in his bed, he's like, what are you doing in here? And I just I smiled to myself. Before, it probably would have, brought up some anger or something in me now it's just letting my son know, hey, she's just happy, man. Look at her. She is just 100% happy. She's not here to take anything from me. Why I talk about that story is just the mindset, the difference of the 4 people. Arin was in the room there too. The 4 people in the room, but just what it's like, if the difference of you being that particular instance, my son, and then the complete opposite of being my daughter, who was just elated with joy. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's all in your head.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people will have some type of subconscious thought patterns that are hurting them, such as maybe, oh, I'm not good at money, or I don't understand finances, or I don't know how to invest, so I'm just going to have someone else do it.
I don't want to fix toilets.
Yeah.
How many times have I heard that?
Yeah.
I've fixed a few toilets myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
if you're always telling yourself that, subconsciously thinking that, oh, I don't understand money, or, oh, I'm not good at math, or whatever it is, then it's actually going to become true, and you're not going to be able to change it. So you have to become aware, become conscious, like you were saying, of these thoughts that you're having, and start to change.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
That was Henry Ford, right?
That's, so true.
Yeah. And it's mindset, it's consciousness, it's being present. Thomas has a squeaky chair.
Trying to sit still in it.
Oh, yes. Yes, just that it is. And, whether, excuse me, the idea of Marcus Chan, he wrote a book called The Secrets of Six-Figure Sales.
Yeah.
And great guy. And in one of the things that he mentions, that he's got these, I think he calls them nags, they negative automatic thoughts, something NATs, I think they're called, negative automatic thoughts. And we all have them. In my journey of consciousness, of enlightenment, it's like I'm always constantly trying to catch these. But the thing is, they happen so fast and so often, a lot of times you won't catch them. And now I try to replay back and see where I'm saying them. You're not good enough. This is not gonna work. Why would somebody listen to you? This is too much, or you're wasting your time. All of these thoughts that replayed in your head. The thing is, you have the ability to stop that. First step is by catching it, is by knowing that it doesn't have to happen. Right?
Yeah.
You have complete control of your mind.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to become aware of those thoughts. One way that I found helpful is just look for any problem areas in your life that you currently have, whether that's maybe with relationships or with money or whatever it may be. And if you're having a difficulty, it's probably rooted back to a subconscious thought that you're having and repeating to yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Now in my mind, I'm like trying to think, okay, what is that?
And that I believe that came from the book Mind Hacking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hard
which is a great book. Yeah.
Yep.
Great
Very
mindset book.
Yeah. In the beginning of How to Get Rich as a Doctor, I really loved is that mindset piece. And I did have a colleague, is actually a real estate investor, and his wife is a physician. And he had mentioned to me that it needs to be more prominent, that his experience with his wife, and as a real estate investor, he works with other physicians as well too, that mindset needs to be up front, because anytime that he's had to speak with physicians, and I know it's the same way when we're working with clients with physicians as well too, I can barely ever get anybody's time, right? It's either late at night, maybe on the weekends or something. And we're so engaged in this trading time for money that we don't lift our head up and say, okay, I need to start now in order to tippy toe or ease into this next path. You know,
100%. And the people who are limited on time, like most positions are, you have other ways that you can start building passive income by leveraging relationships, using your own capital, and investing into programs like our own, where we help you build passive income. I mean, there's probably a million ways that you can do it. You just have to know that there's an answer out there, and you have to start looking for it and take action.
I liked one interview that we were doing was a tax strategist, and he had said there's no perfect investment, right? Every investment's going to have risk. You really just need to find the ones that fit you the best. And in this point, it's fitting you and where you're at right now too. So, you know, whether it is a syndication scenario or a debt loan, or, you know, maybe it's just stock market stuff, whatever, find what fits you. Ultimately, I am completely biased on real estate, being that outcome, owning and controlling real estate, finding and developing a solution that aligns with your goals, so you don't have to be a toilet fixer. Yeah. You know, but it all comes back down to is what's holding you back. And when we get into these kind of like hypotheticals of, I'm trying to think of you out there listening to this, how can I bring value to you? Where are you stuck? Right? Where are you at right now? And that the challenge is you could be in residency, or you could be near retirement. You know, I don't know where you're at. And it's two totally different mindsets there. But the first one is taking action. Mm-hmm. You know, that no matter what it is, the first one is taking action. And
even if it's the wrong action, because then you'll learn and you'll be able to recalibrate.
And taking bigger action first, you have more time to recover from than taking bigger action when you're older. But taking bigger action is big, and just understanding. I mean, if you're listening to this, that you have an understanding that there's more out there too. That's a big piece. Knowing that there's something different. All you have to do is ask questions, be curious, and surround yourself with people who are already doing it. Mm-hmm. What else would you say from a mindset perspective that I guess would be helpful or kind of stands out to you, Thomas? So you're not in the room, so you can't see. Thomas is a very young man. Thomas is at
almost 23.
23.
Actually, tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow is your birthday? Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You hid it from us last year, I think. But I wrote it down somewhere. I'm horrible.
I can't remember.
Dates. Tomorrow's your birthday. Happy birthday.
Yes, thank you.
So, a very young man at the age of 23. I am almost twice that. I just turned 43. So, I guess for you, if you're talking to a resident now, right? 23 probably puts them right in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
Where would you suggest that they be mindset wise? Strictly mindset, not related to real estate or anything else.
Where do I suggest that they could you restate?
If you were a 23-year-old resident, right, where would you, if you could tell yourself where you would need to be in order to reach your goals, whether that's in medicine, real estate, life, you know, family, whatever, business, where's a path? Because I look up to you with your goal setting, with your personal development. I think you are top notch. Like, I can't think of anybody better. So where would you suggest for you to be if you were a physician listening to this at your age?
Well, if I'm understanding your question correctly, which I'm not sure if I am, what I would suggest is find someone who's 2 to 3 steps ahead of you, a mentor, whatever area that may be. You don't need someone who's 10 steps ahead of you, because
The gap.
more than likely someone that's only 2, 3 levels ahead of you will be able to answer those questions for you, and they'll be closer to those experiences or problems that you may be facing, so they'll be more fresh with their advice. So that would be my number one advice, is find a mentor and learn from them, whatever that area may be. I remember when I met you, before I met you, I actually had a goal to meet a mentor in real estate specifically. At the time, I already had a mentor that I was working with, but I wanted to meet someone who had experience in real estate. And because of that goal, I think more than likely, if I didn't have it, I probably wouldn't have saw the opportunity when it presented itself. So that would be my advice, is find someone who's ahead of whatever area that you want to develop. And the other advice would be take action. Alex Hormozy said, who's a very successful entrepreneur, he learns the most from his mentors and by doing. So I would suggest doing those two things.
That's awesome. That's great advice. I'm trying to think of physicians that we've worked with that are currently working with at around the mid 40 mark. And I'm thinking at that time, life has developed. I heard a podcast from the White Coat Investor, and I really liked how he put it. He was saying that, you're looking at he was speaking directly towards purchasing a house, but I like this philosophy in general: a stable life and a stable job. And right now, if I'm speaking to physicians around that 40-year-old mark, you're probably right in that pocket, right? So things are going to be a little bit different. Now you probably have that capital build up. You probably have some different opportunities, maybe practice ownership, those kind of things. So it's maybe a little different piece, but you still need to be around other people who are doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
100%. So maybe that's not an age. And I remembered back a little earlier from our conversation, I was saying it's a big difference, right? From when you're first starting to from when you're close to retire. But is it when it comes to mindset? You need to surround yourself with like-minded people, with people who have already done what you want to do.
Yeah.
Success leaves clues.
Yeah.
And if you can even take somebody out to lunch, who was it? It was Jim Rohn, I think, was saying, you want to take, if you were poor, you want to take a rich guy out to lunch.
Yeah.
And the mindset shift that you have to get, that poor person has to get over is, why would I pay for his lunch? He's rich. He should buy me lunch, right?
Yeah.
But you get over that and you take a person out to lunch who is doing what you want to do, then you have the opportunity to listen, right? Ask questions and just listen. Buy their lunch. Don't eat any lunch yourself, because you're not going to if you're engaged and you're talking. But there's just opportunities out there for you. So whether what age you're at, that's just a great piece of advice.
Yeah. There's always someone ahead of you.
Yep. And that gap thing, I think we were actually in a sauna in Croatia when I had mentioned that to you, of like not having too big of a gap in mentors, right? So if I would love to sit in a room with Bezos, right?
Yeah.
Bezos. I would love to sit in a room with Grant Cardone. But right now, I don't think that would be the biggest spot of improvement, right? I don't know that I would have much time with them. I wouldn't be able to engage with them. Rather, if I had somebody that was, just maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead of me, like you're saying, I'd be able to connect with a little more, get a little more of their time, and be able to grow a little more from that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Another thing I'll add in there is creating systems in your life to get to the path that you want to. So by that, I mean creating some sort of repeating, whether that, or you could call it maybe a habit. If you want to run a marathon, then you should probably start running every single day, right? If you want to start learning how to invest in real estate, you should probably start reading a little bit about real estate every single day. So creating those systems that can help you get to that end goal.
Mm-hmm. 10 pages
really
a day.
Important. Yeah, 10 pages.
10 pages a day.
Start with something as small as 10 pages a day, and within the compound of a year or 5 years, absolutely change your life.
Yep. It makes me think, the mindset piece is what's helped me take major steps in my mindset are these pieces, and it's health and wealth, right? It's these two things that I need, because if I have wealth and I don't have health, then I don't have anything at all. Mm-hmm. So what's allowed me to take that next level in my mindset is focus on my health, and in exercise. We both have been through the phases of 75 hard, which is a great challenge. As a physician, I know it'd be way difficult because
very hard challenge.
Yes, you have 2 45-minute exercises each day. One has to be outside, rain or shine. Drink a gallon of water. Read 10 pages. Let's see what else. Just like there's one other thing in there. Take a picture. Missed that one a couple times.
Yeah.
Take a picture.
Eat it on a diet.
Yep. Stay on a diet.
The faint of heart.
Yeah. Sure. So that's a big piece, but we're talking about mindset here. That catapulted me, man. That changed my life. It catapulted me in a direction that I wanted to be, where I wanted to be. It set me on that rhythm, or that creating that habit, like you're saying, of 10 pages a day. Ever since I did that challenge, I have not stopped reading. I've not stopped reading, and I absolutely love it. I've gained so much. Journaling is another one that's big, because reflection, right?
Yeah.
What enables me to be conscious is to learn from what's happening in the unconscious. And reflection allows me to see that better, Mm-hmm. So 75 hard is a great way to do that. But it allowed me, those two exercises allowed me to focus on my health.
Yeah.
And it's, how many times have you heard this, Thomas? I don't have time. How many hours do you have a day?
24.
You're right. How many do I have in a day?
24.
How many does Grant Cardone have in a day?
24.
Right.
Everyone.
Bezos. Yes.
Yep.
Every physician listening to this, 100%. It's the priority that we put on things is the big difference. So, and lately I've focused on 8 hours of sleep a day.
Yeah, which I've been pushing you.
Wow. At first it's like, and I've had to come off of it a few times. But the focus of getting that done, I feel like I've lost half of my work life, because I would spend hours and hours and hours and hours working. Instead, now I'm sleeping 8 hours, and I'm putting my priority, say focus on the top 20% of things, right? So not everything is getting done, but the important things are getting done.
Yes.
And one of those is exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise. Oh man, in that 75 hard, I had lost 40 pounds, and I was not, in my eyes, my own perspective, I wasn't overweight. I'm 6'2", I weighed 220. I was thicker, I was happy, you could say, but that 40 pounds, that was huge. And now, my life has changed since I've created those habits. I love working out. I love being healthy. I can't remember who I was. Maybe it was Ed Milet. I heard him talking about one more. He has this. We're rolling into the season here. We celebrated last year. The separation season for Ed Milet, where everybody's going to take a break, going to eat that extra piece of pie, going to eat that cake, that kind of thing. Well, he's going to work harder this season, and then he's lays these seasons together. But what he was saying as well in that same perspective was the one more theory, right? One more, but what if it was your last kind of thing? So the health for me is putting it where it's not just for me, it's for my family though too. Creating this habit so I have good health so I can enjoy my life with my family.
Yeah.
One of my gratitudes that's another great thing for a mindset is gratitude.
Yeah.
So one of the gratitudes that I'll visualize in my head is the chance I get to walk my daughter down the aisle. I absolutely love it. This girl is in love with Christmas. I can only imagine how happy she's going to be at her wedding, right? But if I'm not healthy, if I don't even make it there, if I'm stressing myself out working, 80 hours, 90 hours a week, then everything that I'm building in those 80 hours, 90 hours a week don't mean anything, because I don't get to experience my life with my family.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really important to prioritize health. Make sure that you take care of yourself. Your body's a temple. It's the only body that you got.
Yeah.
Right. And I think also kind of building off of that, health, exercise, diet, sleep, all of this stuff is really important. Everything, really interesting philosophical phrase is everything affects everything.
How you do one thing is how you do something.
Exactly. Yeah. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yep. The story I heard about that. I want to go into that one, but gratitude, though. How important is gratitude and mindset?
Super important.
Why?
Well, I think that if one thing that's really interesting about gratitude is that if you can focus and manifest gratitude before an event actually happens, you can increase the likelihood of it actually occurring, because gratitude is typically an experience that you feel after something's happened. Maybe that's after you get married or after you earn or have passive income. But if you can start to feel grateful before getting to that event of whatever it is that you're grateful for, will be that much more easier. And you'll enjoy it on the way as well, which is really all that matters. In the end, it's the only thing that matters is enjoying what you're doing and living the best life you can.
I was doing the morning primers. I absolutely love these by Tony Robbins, right? The morning primers. Thomas, you told me about these. Man, I every single time I do this, like I literally get emotional. And it's a 15-minute deal. I do it first thing in the morning, and it's like I can relive. One of the gratitudes that I have is like my wedding day, like seeing my wife come through the doors at the church and my father-in-law walking her up the aisle. Like, I'm so grateful for that moment. And my life has changed so much for the better since that moment. But that's one of those things that I visualize as my gratitude. Once you can be grateful for what you have, you're automatically wealthy. I mean, you are, when you're present in the now, you're wealthy. And that, when I was saying earlier about Arin saying she's happy, she feels wealthy. We've understood, like, we've become present, right? We're happy with what we have. We're grateful. That attitude of gratitude. I was doing a morning primer the other day, and I sit in my office here. We're in the home office in South Carolina, and it's a separate area kind of from the house. And I had the lights off, and I'm typically up, hour or two before the kids. And I had the lights off, my headphones on. I'm doing this primer, and I hear my daughter wake up, hear her thud down the stairs, and I'm visualizing gratitude. One of the gratitudes I have is the visualizing that day that she was born, and the doctor saying, it's a girl. Thank you for every physician out there that makes that possible for families too. It's one of the greatest moments of my life. And holding her, and right at that time, she turns on the light in the office. She's like, "Daddy, open your eyes. What are you doing?" And before, it would be something where you get frustrated, but that's exactly what I was grateful for. So I could keep my eyes closed and just now turn this visualization into realization by just holding her in my arms. Mm-hmm. And it's just those little moments, catching those little moments that makes you wealthy in your life, exactly where you're at right now. Whether you're hundreds of thousands in debt from school, whether you've got hundreds of thousands in the bank, you're looking to invest it somewhere, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, how many problems you have to listen to throughout the day, you are wealthy right where you're at. And I think that's a massive, massive piece of the mindset, is just being grateful. Think about it. Take a second when you get done listening to this, go somewhere quiet and close your eyes and not only think about what you're grateful for, but relive those moments. Get back there. It gives me goosebumps to even think about them. Put yourself back in those moments to feel what you were feeling. Breathe the way that you're breathing. Sometimes you could even mimic the smell of what you were smelling in those scenarios and just put yourself back into that situation. Get into the neuroscience of this. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physician. But I know how there's something to the way that the brain fires and wires, like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, that takes me to a whole new place when we're talking about mindset of being grateful and reliving these experiences.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Thomas, visualizing experiences that you want, like goals that you want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to visualize this particular thing like it's already done. And I'm going to have that gratitude, just like you were saying earlier, there's a difference in the chemical makeup of that gratitude. I'm going to have that gratitude. I'm going to feel that gratitude for that goal like it's already done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in visualization. 100%. Well, Brett, I think that's a great
We
place
could go on for another
to
hour,
wrap this
right?
episode. Yeah. Could keep going on. I've thought of a couple different stories that I've held on to here.
But I hope this is valuable for everybody that's listening. And if there's, I'm so excited to talk with everybody too. If you've got things that you want to share with mindset or visualization or gratitude or just perspective switches, just whatever, I'm really excited to talk with everybody. And I thank everybody for taking the time to listen to us talk about our experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great. It's a pleasure to be here in the office back in the States.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, very nice.
And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Sounds good.
Thank you.